a rendition of the national anthem from the band of the Royal Air Force Regiment, who are going to kick off our now traditional pre-race grid ceremony, where the race-winning trophy and the World Champions Tower is always on demonstration. So myself, Lewis and Simon will just take a very quick breather as we get set for the British national anthem. A great rendition then of God Save the Queen from the band of the Royal Air Force Regiment. God Save the Queen rolls out around the countryside of Silverstone. Who will be the king of the British Grand Prix, though, coming up very, very shortly. Hard work in prospect for Alex Rins and Joan Mir, the two Factory Suzuki teammates, although Alex Rins has been first and second on his last two appearances here at the British Grand Prix. Let's hear the pre-race thoughts. Livio Suppo, the team boss, down on the grid with Simon.
Livio, like we often say, your guys in blue are a fair way down on the grid after qualifying. But looking at their race pace, listening to their debriefs, confidence-wise, it looks to me that they really do have the pace for the podium. It kind of depends if they can get through. That's only my thoughts. What are yours?
Well, I was not here last year, but Alex, that's today is 11th, he was 10th, and he finished second. So cross my finger. We know that both they were fast on a race tire. Unfortunately, they didn't get everything good in quali, but I think we have a good chance to do a good race. Sure, the temperature is very hot, and this will be something to take in mind, because probably will be different the tires comparing with the practice. So hopefully will be a good race like in Moto3 that was very good till the end.
Okay, good luck, Livio.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to Simon, thanks to Livio Suppo. He makes an excellent point. 10th on the grid last year was Alex Rins. One place higher up than he'll start today's 20-lap race, but he did fight his way through to take second, a distant second behind runaway leader Fabio Quartararo. That's a face full of tension, a face full of concentration, maybe a face full of some pain and discomfort as well. Just before we start the real intense build-up to this British Grand Prix, we can have a quick chat down the grid with Simon Crayfart and KTM's Pit Byra.
Pit, can you give us your thoughts watching through practice? Again, it looked tough in qualifying, but both the boys look pretty fast on race tyres. What do you think?
Yeah, it's tough for us. I mean, it's nothing new. Sorry to say that over the weekend that like the race pace looks like we are okay, but that one lap is still something super difficult for us. So I think the next step in that category, we need to figure that out, because we make it so difficult for the riders to start so far from the back. So race pace will be there. So, but now it's race day, so let's go racing.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to Pit Byra from KTM and to Simon Crayfart. We're all getting set then for this 20-lap British Grand Prix, probably one of the most wide-open MotoGP races we've had of 2022 so far, and there's been some late and significant tyre changes down the grid, Lewis.
Yeah, we saw a Gresini engineer hurriedly rushing a tyre onto the grid. That was for Enea Bastianini, who switched to the soft front tyre. The big news, though, is the pole man, Johan Zarco. He went to the grid with the soft front, hard rear combination. He's now switched to the medium front. Fabio Di Gianantonio, Alex Rins and Andrea Dovizioso have also changed. They've now moved from the medium to the hard rear.
This could be arguably one of the toughest Grand Prix coming up for this man, Aleix Espargaro. as he has to grit his teeth. The pain from damaged feet after the big crash in FP4 yesterday. There was his teammate Maverick Vinales on the factory Aprilia. Is it his turn to win a MotoGP race for Aprilia after Aleix Espargaro broke their long-winning victory duck in Argentina? Who could forget that battle with Jorge Martin at Termas de Rio Hondo? So many amazing stories have kept on the edge of our seats so far this weekend and in 2022. But after yesterday's record-breaking qualifying session, the top 8 riders were inside of the 3-year-old previous all-time lap record. Nobody quicker than Johann Zarco in qualifying yesterday. This promises to be an absolute belter of a British Grand Prix coming up in the next few minutes. Aleix Espargaro, he'd have filled himself with painkillers. He'd have taken all the words of encouragement, all the words of wisdom from those around him. What can he do in this British Grand Prix? Jack Miller then on the factory Ducati starts from 3rd place. 4th he was last year, fighting for 3rd with Aleix Espargaro on a thrilling last lap. Maverick Vinales on the front row of the grid for the first time as a factory Aprilia rider. Can he make it 4 consecutive British Grand Prix podiums? But it's a pole position for the flying Frenchman, 32-year-old Johann Zarco, the 8th MotoGP pole position of his career. He's been so often the bridesmaid, but is today the day that Zarco will win in MotoGP?
Who will strike gold at Silverstone? Johann Zarco goes in search of a first ever MotoGP victory from pole position. Maverick Vinales and Jack Miller complete the front row. Fabio Quartararo with a long lap penalty to serve early on starts 4th ahead of Pecco Bagnaia and the heroic Aleix Espargaro. Can he grit his teeth to bring Aprilia another winner's trophy? Marco Bezzecchi heads row 3. The first of the Suzukis is on row 4 with Rins and Mir side by side. KTM's challenge comes from the 5th row with Oliveira and Binder, and the first of the Hondas is in the form of Alex Marquez in 17th. Can they salvage some points here at Silverstone? We're all set for the British Grand Prix.
Who has left the summer holidays, who has left the beach hot and in red hot form here in beautiful conditions, almost perfect conditions for Grand Prix motorcycle racing here at the 2022 Monster Energy British Grand Prix. There is your poleman then, the number 5 bike, an 8th career pole position in the Premier class for Prima Pramac Racing's Johann Zarco. He was the top man in a sensational record-breaking qualifying session yesterday. 8 riders were under the old all-time lap record set by 8-times world champion Marc Marquez back in 2019. As we mentioned, just ideal track conditions, 22 degrees ambient temperature. We saw some late tyre changes on the grid for key men in this British Grand Prix. And now Bastianini, a 3-time winner already so far in 2022. And our pole man Zarco, we are back in play. MotoGP at Silverstone has been back with a bang. Let's hope we've got a belting British Grand Prix coming your way very, very shortly. Zarco, as he mentioned, made a late front tyre change on the grid. Let's get all the latest bang-up-to-date information from Michelin Motorsport manager Piero Taramasso with Simon down on the grid.
Piero, there's been some last-minute tyre changes. I'd like your opinion on why they've changed last minute, but also over race distance. What do you expect from the tyres? Do the riders have to manage them, or there'll be a sprint at the end, or they can go?
Yes, the tire changes mainly is half for the rear tire is half people with the medium and half with the hard. We had some change on the grid. For example, Dovizioso put the hard, he switched from medium to hard. Zarco, he switched the front from soft to medium. So they went harder because the track temperature is quite high, is 42, 43 degrees. And with the hard tire will be more consistent, more stable. What we expected, that they can push with the hard and with the medium also. There is no problem about the management of tire. For sure the medium will drop a little bit more, the rear, but the drop is very, very gentle. So I'm not sure that we will saw that, early or after the race. I think they can push all the time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks to Piero Taramasso from Michelin Motorsport. Here we go then, the warm-up lap about to be completed. Round 12 of what's already been an epic battle in the MotoGP World Championship this year. Just over 41,000 fans have pumped through the doors here at Silverstone. That's a great vantage point. Looking down through Luffield and the magnificent flat-out fifth gear, 140-mile-an-hour Woodcote corner, where we saw that dramatic late victory for Alex Rins on the factory Suzuki over Marc Marquez 3 years ago. That's how the championship stands here. Fabio Quartararo with a long lap penalty looming, 172 points, 21 clear of the battered and bruised factory Aprilia man of Aleix Espargaro. Can Johann Zarco, in his 96th MotoGP start, finally find the way back to the top step of the podium? Will we see his famous backflip celebration back here at the British Grand Prix? We await the green flag waving at the back. There it goes. We're just seconds away then from lights out here at the Monster Energy British Grand Prix for MotoGP. It's going to be lights out right now. Here we go then. Great start from pole position by Johann Zarco. Jack Miller got away well from third place as well, but Zarco peels into Copse corner. He leads, and it's a French 1-2. Dream launch from Fabio Quartararo. He goes from fourth to second.
Yeah, Quartararo got away very well. There was slight contact as he tried to muscle his way through the front row starters. Vinales was unable to hold him at bay. Both Aprilias are back behind Alex Rins, who's got a very, very good start. As you can see now, the Aprilia side by side. Vinales ahead of Aleix Espargaro. They are 6th and 7th.
Yeah, that was a shocking start by Maverick Vinales. He's been really caught napping as the lights went out. We've seen him struggle a few times in the past on new tyres with a full fuel tank. Johann Zarco's got the hammer down immediately here, hasn't he? Already in the first sector, nearly 4/10 of a second clear of compatriot Quartararo as they sweep through Vale for the first time.
Bagnaia has gained on this first lap. He's just behind his teammate Jack Miller. Bagnaia wasn't sure yesterday that he had the pace to fight for the win. At the moment, he's in a pretty good position. Alex Rins has been passed by Maverick Vinales. He's recovering from that poor start. He pushed past his fellow Spaniard into Vale. Vinales back into 5th.
Still been a really good first lap for Alex Rins, just what he needed, having to start from 11th place. He's already made up 5 places then on this opening lap. Got himself an early podium contention. A man who loves this 5.9-kilometre Silverstone circuit, the longest on our World Championship schedule. Rins here looks like he's trying to line up a move back on the inside of Vinales into the loop. He did that perfectly. He set it all up going through Farm and then through Village. Perfectly executed move that by Alex Rins. He has now regained 5th place.
So no notification yet on our timing screens of Fabio Quartararo's long lap penalty. That is significant because that means that from the moment he's given that penalty notification, he has 3 laps. So that you can scratch the first lap off. That does not mean he has to come in before the end of lap 3. He'll have 3 laps from the time they notify him.
Poor first lap for the beast. Today, Bastianini, already a triple MotoGP winner so far this season. He's lost 3 places, down from 8th to 11th. Over the line they come then. There is the notification for Fabio Quartararo. He can now come into the long lap penalty. He has 3 laps to serve that penalty. We remind you, it's at the loop, turn 14, with a bit of a buffer then back to the factory Ducatis of Mir and Bagnaia. Will he take the first opportunity and sweep in on this lap number 2 here at Silverstone? He starts to close up on Johann Zarco as they snake their way through the Magnussen-Beckett complex. Now they'll attack hard through Chapel Curve. You've got to make sure you get a good drive here. You don't want to lose momentum down that hanger straight. Quartararo then now is nearly half a second clear of Jack Miller. I just wonder, Lewis, whether he'll come in right now.
I think he'll want to take stock. I think he said earlier on in the weekend he wants to take it as late as possible. As long as he and Zarco are pulling away from the Ducatis behind him, I think he'll want to wait as long as he can.
You can see how keen Quartararo is to get on with this. He almost lost the rear coming out of Stowe corner. It was bucking and weaving underneath him as he squeezed on the power to try and get close to Zarco down through Vale. Brilliant stuff this by Quartararo, showing why he's our 2021 MotoGP World Champion. Now then, we come through turn number 11. Abby, is he going to sweep in to the long lap penalty loop in 3 corners time? Now he banks it hard left through the high-speed 4th gear, 120-mile-an-hour farm curve into turn 13 now. Is this the moment for Fabio Quartararo? Is he going to sweep into the long lap? No, he's not. I thought he was going to try and take the lead there from Zarco into the loop.
Whilst those Ducatis are within that 1 second window behind him, he won't want to serve it. He'll want to try and get out of that window and get a gap so that he can maintain position, which is why he's so keen to get past Zarco. He clearly feels, I can get past Zarco and try and build up as much of a gap as I can, that I can potentially maintain the lead. Further back, the Aprilias are still in 6th and 7th. Alex Rins looks like he's won that battle with Maverick Vinales. Still no signs of progress from Aleix Espargaro, clearly taking a bit of time just to feel comfortable again on that Aprilia. He's still in 7th place under pressure from Joan Mir.
We've seen all weekend how strong the Ducatis have worked in that 3rd sector, and Miller starting to close in on Fabio Quartararo on that 2nd lap. Miller actually right on cue, was the fastest man on circuit. He got down to a 1:59.740. That was nearly 2/10 faster than Quartararo directly ahead of him. He's just put a bit of daylight now, the Australian, between himself and factory Ducati teammate Pecco Bagnaia, who's got his hands full defending from Alex Rins on the Suzuki in 5th.
Yeah, Rins is the danger man in this leading group. He looks visibly faster than Pecco Bagnaia at this stage of the Grand Prix. Viñales is just on the back of the Suzuki man in 6th position. You can see already a gap opening up back to Aleix Espargaro, who's under serious pressure from Mir and Martin. Martin looks like he's taking the pair of them into Hangar Straight.
Well, there's probably tears rolling down the cheeks of Aleix Espargaro. This is going to be a really, really tough battle. A battle with himself, both physically and mentally. As Lewis said, he is just losing touch with his teammate Maverick Viñales ahead of him. Alex Rins, we know how good the Suzuki works around here with its agile, nimble chassis underneath. Alex Rins, they won 2 British Grand Prix here in recent history, himself over Marc Marquez in the Classic back in 2019. Aleix Espargaro still resisting the pressure from Joan Mir behind him. He looked like he got in a little bit hot there going into Abbey, but the gap between Viñales and Aleix Espargaro is just about to creep up to nearly a full second. He's hanging on there though right now for that top 6.
So Quartararo again misses the long lap loop. Look at Rins then up the inside of Pecco Bagnaia. Beautiful, beautiful move into the loop. Bagnaia though trying to take that back, but Rins has the momentum around the outside and up it into 4th position. So we do know now Quartararo will be in the long lap loop next time around.
I think Rins clipped the wings quite literally there of Pecco Bagnaia's factory Ducati going through the Aintree corner. He's starting to look really busy, getting really menacing right now early on here, isn't he? Former MotoGP winner here at the British Grand Prix, Alex Rins. It's been a superb start to this Grand Prix. Exactly what he needed. He got the launch off the line and then was super aggressive as always. There you go then, the long lap. They're telling Fabio Quartararo he has to do it on this current lap then.
And crucially, they were counting down on the pit board with the numbers. They had long lap 2, then long lap 1, so they're clearly telling him this is the lap.
Yeah, so 1:59.498 is the fastest lap we've seen of this Grand Prix so far. That's been fired in by the teammate of our race leader, Jorge Martin. He's down in 7th place. He has just actually taken that 7th from Aleix Espargaro. There's confirmation on your screens then. That is a new best race lap. Taking that away from the absent Marc Marquez, which is a 1:59.936. So the pace is very, very hot. That's half a second inside the previous best race lap here around this 3.666 mile Silverstone circuit.
Maverick Viñales is starting to get up to speed now, despite being passed by Alex Rins. He's got good pace on that factory Aprilia. He did a 1:59.6 last time around, virtually matching all the riders ahead of him, with the exception of Bagnaia, who was the slowest of the leading group by quite a margin. He was down in the 2 minutes, the low 2 minutes for the number 63, so he's struggling to keep pace with this leading group. Quartararo then, you'd imagine, looking at the group at the moment, he's probably going to come out somewhere near Viñales, who currently holds 6th.
He's got to come in now then. He has to come in now, otherwise it will be a double long lap penalty. He knows that. He's been given the message crystal clear on his pit board. He closes up on Zarco in the brakes. He sweeps to the right. He hugs the right hand side of the circuit into the long lap penalty loop then. At the loop comes Fabio Quartararo. We estimate it losing anything between 8/10 and 1 second. He drops right back in front of Maverick Viñales. He really didn't lose anything, did he? Went from 2nd then, Fabio Quartararo, down to 5th. There's been long lap penalties on this World Championship calendar, which can cost you anything between 2 and 4 seconds. We'll have a look at the lap time. Fabio Quartararo's last lap was a 1:59.593. It was his quickest lap of this Grand Prix so far. So let's just check his lap time. Having done the long lap on that lap number 4, over he comes. It was a 2:01.218. So he lost, what, 1.6 seconds?
Yeah, not bad at all, was it, from Fabio Quartararo? He was as quick as Raul Fernandez on that last lap with a long lap penalty. So that's how quick Quartararo's going, and also how little time he lost. Look at Alex Rins, though. He is a real threat in this Grand Prix. We've described him as a Silverstone specialist. He came from 10th on the grid to 2nd last year. He's in the podium positions, and Jack Miller's going to have him under pressure very, very shortly. He'll have him under pressure now.
In the podium positions and in the groove. This is the Alex Rins that we haven't seen really since pre-Barcelona, when he had that fractured wrist in the controversial first corner collision instigated by Taka Nakagami. Alex Rins, the 5-week summer break came just at the perfect time for him. He was able to get fully fit, recover on that wrist. He's not going to be close enough to attack Miller on the brakes. Zarco has crashed out of the lead. Joan Zarco has fluffed his lines trail braking on the front end of that Pramac Ducati into turn number 8. Zarco, who made that late decision to move up from the soft front tyre to the medium front tyre. Well, the long wait will go on. There's going to be no fairy tale victory and no fairy tale first victory for the Frenchman here at the British Grand Prix. He crashes out of the lead on lap number 5 into turn 8. Jack Miller then now is the leader of the British Grand Prix. But for how much longer? Not very long at all, because Alex Rins, the superstar here 3 years ago in that epic battle, Miller comes straight back through. This is what we've been waiting for. This is the MotoGP back and some after that 5-week summer break. It's Miller versus Rins as they attack on the brakes in the Brooklands on lap number 5, a pivotal lap number 5 with race leader Zarco down and out.
Brilliant action at the front. It's brought Bagnaia back into play here in 3rd place. Bagnaia looked like he was struggling to keep pace, although he did do his personal best lap last time around at 1:59.7. He's now right on the tail of the leading duo, but this is the moment where a potential first MotoGP victory slips through Zarco's fingers.
You could see he was almost a full lead angle. He was a long way into that turn number 8. Fonz Nieto, the team manager, pre-race told Simon Crayford, they told him not to think about the World Championship. Today is your day. Go for broke. It looked so strong, particularly in FP4 yesterday. But again, Johan Zarco sees another golden opportunity to end his victory duck in the Premier Class. Slipped through his fingers. He has remounted. He's in dead last, back at the pack in 24th place. Tough one to take for Zarco.
Tell you what, it's not all lost yet for the Pramac Racing, because the fastest rider on track once again last time round was Jorge Martin, as Bagnaia now attacks, looking to try and make it a Ducati 1-2, but Rins late enough on the brakes to hold that at bay. There was only one rider who was under the 2-minute barrier last time round. It was Jorge Martin in 6th.
And Rins now again on the front end of that Suzuki. One of the strengths of that Suzuki GSX-RR is its braking stability, straight up and down, and Rins capitalising to devastating effect throughout Vale on Jack Miller. He's back at the front end. There's the Spanish rider, of course. The collapse of the Suzuki team means he's off to pastures new next year at the LCR Honda squad. What a boost this would be for Alex Rins after all of his recent injury problems. It's easy to forget, isn't it, after the Portimao Grand Prix early on this season, he was sharing the World Championship lead with Fabio Quartararo. He's dropped all the way down to 9th in the standings. Now nearly 100 points away from the Frenchman. Quartararo has got his hands full here. 2 Spaniards, hard-charging Spaniards all over his case. Vinales can't hold off Jorge Martin through the loop. This is more Moto3 than MotoGP. We're absolutely loving it here in the commentary box. Sure you're loving it at home. An epic British battle underway here at Silverstone.
And Martin is on a mission. He took the opportunity there as Quartararo started that chain reaction by going wide into Village. That offset Vinales, who had to try and check up, and that opened the door for Jorge Martin to pinch 5th place away from Maverick Vinales. Alexa Spargaro is growing into this race. He's still running in 7th place. We've got a long lap penalty on our screens for Stefan Bradl. He already had a penalty on the grid. He's now going to have to follow Fabio Quartararo through the long lap loop.
Over the line at the start of lap number 7, Miguel Oliveira down in 9th place, 1.9 seconds away from race leader Alex Rins. There is Fabio Quartararo, then after taking that long lap penalty, came back on circuit in 5th place, didn't have to work for 4th after his fellow Frenchman Johan Zarco bit the dust down at turn number 8. Now then, Rins with clear track in front of me, starting to ask big questions here of the 2 Bologna bullets behind him, isn't he? Miller there, 2nd and 3rd. Here comes Jorge Martin using the power of that Ducati. He blitzes by Fabio Quartararo down the Hanger straight. That's that extra 20 or 25 horsepower that he's got on that GP22. Nothing that Quartararo could do. He was powerless to defend against Martin. So Quartararo nudged back to 5th. Here comes Bagnaia now on the inside of his teammate Jack Miller. The action fast and frenetic at the front of this British Grand Prix. Alex Rins sweeps through Club Corner on lap number 7. He's just about to come through that 2nd sector, and he started to really stretch his advantage. Over 3/4 of a second. It's the biggest lead we've had so far in this British Grand Prix.
And I think that's cranked up the urgency for Pecco Bagnaia, who clearly feels he's faster than Jack Miller. He's seeing Alex Rins disappear into the distance and knows he needs to get on with it and try and stop the Suzuki man from pulling clear. It's already 3/4 of a second of the lead. The battling up at the front means that the fastest rider on the last lap, last 6, was Brad Binder in 10th.
Brad Binder, he's always tabbed as the Sunday man, isn't he? And he's delivering again on a Sunday, a Super Sunday at Silverstone. What a race we've had already so far. Alex Rins is now starting to click into his rhythm, click into his pace. He's so good at managing the tyres as well. You don't normally see the Suzuki in the silky smooth hands of Alex Rins hit any kind of major rear grip problems. There's still a long way to go in this British Grand Prix, but he's built up a buffer as we start lap 8 of just over 0.8 of a second. Bagnaia second, Miller third. Here comes Jorge Martin, launching that Prima Public caddy on the inside of Miller at Copse. He goes in hot though, that third gear blind entry Copse corner. He got on the inside of Miller, didn't he, there to take briefly third place, but he slips back to fourth.
Well, Alex Rins was one of the riders who changed tyres on the grid. He went to the grid immediately, initially with a medium rear tyre. He's now changed to the hard, so he's got that support late in the Grand Prix. We're expecting the medium tyre to come into trouble in the closing stages of this Grand Prix, particularly with the higher temperatures, track temperatures around 44 degrees. So Alex Rins has got to make sure he has some grip late in the race, and he's got the right rubber for it.
Yeah, he has. He's dipped back into the 159s, Alex Rins, on that 7th lap, as did his fellow Spaniard Jorge Martin. Clearly they were the fastest two men around this 5.9 kilometre Silverstone circuit. Maverick Vinales has been hugging Fabio Quartararo's rear tyre for quite some time. Well, pretty much since Quartararo came out of the long lap penalty loop, but Vinales just can't find a way through to make a move on Quartararo's Yamaha. And of course, for the hottest conditions of the weekend so far in this group, front tyre pressure, front tyre temperature will be a key factor towards the back end of this Grand Prix. That will not be an issue at the moment concerning or giving a headache to Alex Rins, because he's got clear air, clear track in front of him.
It's interesting watching Fabio Quartararo. Since taking on that penalty, if anything, he's looking more defensive of Vinales than attacking, as Mir certainly attacks. So one Aprilia looking to go forwards, the other Aprilia going slightly backwards. Aleix Espargaro, who's riding through severely gritted teeth as he tries to just salvage any points he can from this Grand Prix. He's just lost 7th to Mir, and the KTMs are now queuing up behind him too.
Quartararo is so good on the brakes on that Yamaha going into Brooklands. There's just nothing Maverick Vinales can do. We're looking back at the number 12 bike as the man who started in 2nd place. He missed the start really, Maverick Vinales. Clearly though, he's desperate to get himself into that podium fight, but somehow he's got to work out a pretty tricky conundrum, finding a way through on the world champion, a man who's a 12-time winner in his Grand Prix career, 11 times in MotoGP. Fabio Quartararo still resisting this intense pressure from Vinales as they attack towards Maggots and Beckett's. Here is the race start. Well, there's obviously contact here, was it, between Quartararo and Vinales off the line. Vinales got away pretty well, yet he just had his nose wiped, didn't he, by Fabio Quartararo, who was so eager to get a good start with a long lap penalty to take. You can just see there, Maverick Vinales just had to sort of veer to his right to make sure his front wheel would take down. Now here comes Vinales. He's got some slips on that Yamaha, side by side with Quartararo. Can he pull it up on the brakes into Stowe corner? 3rd gear. He does it. He's finally made it through. Now then, Vinales having dispensed of Quartararo. That's been no easy task. Next in his eye line will be Jorge Martin. Podium hunt back on for Maverick.
So Quartararo then back down to 6th. Joan Mir will be closing in behind him. The Ducatis have stabilised it slightly with Rins, who looked like he was trying to check out at the front of this Grand Prix. The lead at the halfway stage of this, the 9th lap, is down to just under 7/10 of a second. Bagnaia dipped under the 2-minute margin last time round, a 1:59.975, just a fraction faster than Rins, but the Ducatis have, at the moment, stabilised things. Rins is not pulling away.
Aleix Espargaro, you always sensed it was a damage limitation exercise for him today, given his physical condition, battered and bruised after the 115-mile-an-hour 4th gear high side at Farm Curve turn 12 yesterday. And that mission to limit the damage is one he's accomplishing right now. He's only potentially losing 2 points to his main adversary, Fabio Quartararo. He can see the Frenchman directly ahead of him. There's just Joan Mir between Quartararo and Aleix Espargaro there. They're 5th and 7th at the moment, respectively. Here comes Zarco. He's decided to call it quits. Bitter disappointment. That's his 3rd crash of the weekend, unfortunately. He was down hard in FP1 on Friday morning at turn 7. In FP3 on yesterday morning, he crashed at turn 13, but the most costly crash of his weekend so far, potentially his most costly crash of the season so far, when he was leading the British Grand Prix with a race-winning trophy up for grabs for the first time in MotoGP. It all went horribly wrong on the brakes into turn 8, and it's a premature ending to the Silverstone action for Zarco, who started from pole after a sensational Saturday.
This leading group is closing up now, Matt. Alex Rins lost a quarter of a second on the last lap, the 9th lap of this Grand Prix, to Bagnaia, who once again did a 1:59.988. Rins did a 2 minutes .227. The fastest rider, though, of this leading quintet is the rider at the very back of it, Maverick Vinales, who did a 1:59.885. We know the race pace that a prettier rider has, particularly late in the Grand Prix, so keep a very close eye on the number 12. He also has that harder rear tyring.
Yeah, in these hot conditions, ambient temperature around 22, 23 degrees, hotter than we've had all weekend so far. This is kind of a journey into the unknown territory for these riders. It's all about managing those tyres, particularly in those final 5 or 6 laps. It's as you were as they come towards Village Corner on this 10th lap as we approach the halfway stage. Rins was a little bit wide there, wasn't he? That's going to light up the eyes of Pecco Bagnaia behind him. Now then, can he get some good drive-through entry here now, Pecco Bagnaia? Maybe use some grunt of that Ducati GP22 down the Wellington Straight rather, and put the boot into Alex Rins on the brakes in the Brooklands. Here we go then. Rins, he got good drive, having made that mistake going into Village, so he can resist at the moment, Bagnaia.
Well, we described it earlier on as Moto3-esque. We've still got a leading group of 12 in this Grand Prix at the moment. Just over 4 seconds go as the first 12 riders on the road. That goes all the way back to Marco Bezzecchi on the VR46 Ducati, currently running in 12th position. We now check over half distance. This is lap 11 of 20. Those are the tyre options. Jack Miller, the sole rider in the top 3, who has the softer front tyre. All of them have gone for the hardest Michelin option available on the rear. Just behind them, then we have Martin, who once again was slightly faster than the riders ahead of him. Vinales also 2 minutes dead. He is closing in once again. This leading group telescoping together. If anything, it's Rins who's the slowest rider of them.
Pre-summer break, this young man, Pecco Bagnaia, was very much hit or miss. When he was on his A game, he looked untouchable. But in the 6 Grand Prix before that 5-week summer sojourn, there were 3 wins and 3 DNFs for Bagnaia. His recent records are remarkable. 7 of his last 8 podiums have been victories, so he knows what it takes to get the job done. Likewise, so does Alex Rins. Alex Rins, though, chasing his first Grand Prix victory since Aragon back in 2020, 32 races ago now. Rins, at the moment, still has the advantage, though, through Club Corner on lap number 11. His lead down to just under a quarter of a second. Bagnaia getting closer and closer as they attack Abbey.
So Fabio Quartararo, you can see on the left-hand side of your screen his gap to the leader. He's in danger of being detached here. It's around a half a second gap up to Vinales up ahead of him. Joan Mir is just behind him in 7th. Aleix Espargaro, who you can ride on board with on the left-hand side of your screen. He's still holding 8th position at the moment. That would be considered pretty good damage limitation for the Aprilia man if he can only lose 2 points to his title rival Quartararo.
Seems like a game of chess right now, but a game of cat and mouse. You just wonder whether the pace is just dropping off a little bit as the riders think about tyre conservation. Through Brooklands then we go into this magnificent, famous final sector at Silverstone. Just the core names alone make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Brooklands, Luffield, and this superb charge through Woodcote, flat out, wheel spin, City on a MotoGP bike, 300 horsepower being put through that rear tyre. 5th gear, 140 miles an hour. Over the line to start lap 12. Alex Rins has an advantage over Bagnaia of just over 0.2 of a second. The lead group, well, the top 5 men are covered by just a second at the end of lap 11. Quartararo just losing touch at the moment with Vinales. He was 0.3 slower than the Aprilia man on that last lap, and he's nearly 0.7 now behind the man who started second.
I think that was more Vinales going forwards than Quartararo going backwards. Fabio Quartararo pretty much matched the pace of the leading 4, but Vinales, who's the only rider in the top 9 to lap in the 59, there's a change of lead.
Here comes Pecco Bagnaia then. It's been threatening, it has been coming, and he gets the move done on the brakes, using the slipstream behind the factory Suzuki. managed to pull it up on the brakes into Stowe corner, and for the first time in this Grand Prix, Pecco Bagnaia, who started this 20-lap Spanish Grand Prix from 5th place, he hits the front on the factory Ducati. Ducati have only ever won once here at the British Grand Prix since 2010. That was Andrea Dovizioso's win from the second row as well in 2017, but Bagnaia now leads.
Well, Bagnaia told us yesterday that he didn't have the pace, he thought, to win this Grand Prix. He thought he was lacking a couple of tenths unless he could find something in the morning warm-up. He may well have found it, but he fears for the final 6 laps of this Grand Prix, Bagnaia, so he's hit the front now, but is he still going to have that grip at the end of the Grand Prix? It feels as if Rins is the cork in the bottle here. Miller needs to attack immediately if he's going to go with his teammate Martin likewise, and Viñales for me was the real danger man in this leading 5. I think he's got the leading pace of the 5 of them. He was the only man in the 59s last time around. He needs to act quickly.
Well, as we mentioned just a few moments ago, it's been very much a case of win it or bin it for Pecco Bagnaia in recent races. What will it be today? At the moment on course for win it at Silverstone, and that will again galvanise and find more momentum into his championship. He will recover a bunch of points on Fabio Quartararo and Aleix Espargaro behind him in this race. He came in to this round 12 here at Silverstone, 66 points behind Fabio Quartararo, straight away having got through on Rins on that lap number 12. He was been able to get the Suzuki man by just over 0.3 of a second.
So it's important now for Jack Miller, Jorge Martin and Maverick Viñales, if Bagnaia is in danger of checking out, that they attack immediately. Here is the reigning world champion, Fabio Quartararo. You do wonder whether that half-second gap up to Viñales is just for Quartararo to try and get his front tyre temperature under control. It has been a problem for Quartararo when he's been in traffic earlier on in the season. Is that as close as he can get to the Aprilia up ahead of him? You see Miller shaping for a move. Here's Bastianini, who was also gaining in pace. He's lapping in the 59s at the moment. That's a move on Miguel Oliveira for 9th place. The last time around, Bastianini was faster than everyone ahead of him.
And we all know how good this young man is at managing those tyres in the key late stages of MotoGP races. The beast on the charge. He was involved in some off-the-grid incidents with Martin and Bezzecchi. We're right on board with Aleix Espargaro. Somebody lost a wing there, didn't it?
It looked blue, didn't it? It looked like it came from Bastianini's Cressini Ducati. Let's have a look. This is on board with Mir just behind him, and you'll see it. There it goes, just flicks up on the right-hand side of Bastianini's bike. There you can see it.
Well, he's doing an amazing job here, because when you lose an aero addition in MotoGP, these bikes become so hard to ride. He was certainly losing some downforce, which helps you in the braking zones. That happened to Miguel Oliveira and Luca Marini in collisions just after the start of the Grand Prix in Assen, as Maverick Viñales has made her way through on Jorge Martin up into 4th place. Luca Marini lost a wing pre-race in Assen, and he said the bike was almost unrideable. He was contemplating retiring. Pecco Bagnaia then has a track limits warning. That will certainly be playing in the back of his mind. This was the move from Maverick Viñales then through on Jorge Martin in the village corner. We're going to be keeping a very close eye on there, Bastianini, despite losing that wing on the top left-hand side of that Ducati fairing right at the very first corner, squeezed between Martin and Bezzecchi.
And despite that overtake that he just did, he was half a second quicker than the leader, Bastianini. Despite passing Miguel Oliveira, did a 2:0.78. That was half a second quicker than Bagnaia in the lead.
He's got time. He's only 2 seconds adrift of Pecco Bagnaia now.
8 overtakes in 7 laps.
Yeah, impressive. Well, we know how good he is, how he operated in Grand Prix victories earlier on this season, both in Qatar, in Austin and in Le Mans. The real strength of Enea Bastianini was how good he was at the end of the Grand Prix. Alex Rins runs in a little bit hot in the Stowe corner. Got to keep patient. You can see Pecco Bagnaia is not able to stretch away more than 2 or 3 tenths at the front of this Grand Prix. That's Brad Binden at the moment. He's in front of Marco Bezzecchi, who was also involved in that first corner skirmish at Cops with Martin and Bastianini. Bezzecchi's down in 12th place, comfortably clear of his teammate Luca Marini, who's 4 seconds adrift in a pretty disappointing 13th right now. We've seen very little of Marini, having started 10th.
Well, 8 overtakes in 7 laps is the target for Bastianini. An overtake now for Miller is the target through on Alex Rins. So a Ducati 1-2 at the front of this Grand Prix. Miller then defends into the loop, which is going to compromise him on the way out. Rins might be able to take advantage of this and get a run onto the Wellington straight.
is Rins just running out of steam at the vital stages of this British Grand Prix. He's going to get past pretty quickly here as well by Maverick Vinales. Vinales looked like he had the much better drive, the much better edge grip on the throttle coming out of Aintree Corner. Rins resists with a late braking move on that factory Suzuki, but it is a Ducati Lenovo Team 1-2, and with the championship at stake, I'm not saying that there's team orders in place, but you just wonder what Jack Miller will do here in terms of attacking aggressive on his teammate Pecco Bagnaia, who is the clear, with Zarco out of contention, now the top man in terms of championship for Ducati in this title chase.
Well, as I mentioned a moment ago, the target for Bastianini was 8 overtakes in 7 laps. He's just done 2 of them. He's passed Aleix Espargaro, and he's now into turn 1 at the start of this, the 15th lap, gone past Joan Mir. And now Bastianini is up into 7th place. Start the Jaws music if you're Fabio Quartararo, because the beast is coming for you.
He's not known as the beast for nothing, isn't he? He's really starting to sharpen those teeth now. Is Bastianini, the former Moto2 world champion, looking like he's putting together another really strong late showing here. He's now going to get close to Fabio Quartararo on the brakes going into Stowe Corner. Quartararo, he must be having some kind of issue with that. Front Mir's gone down. Joan Mir, well, he was running in 7th place, wasn't he? Actually, just been pushed down to 8th. Joan Mir, it's been a really, really wretched 2022 season for Mir. No podium so far this season, and it's another DNF on the copybook. Into Stowe Corner he goes on that factory Suzuki. He tipped it in. That went really early, didn't it?
It was very similar to the crash that Zarco had on Friday morning.
Yeah, you could just see it was never really settled, was it? It looked like he was running a little bit offline. He stayed committed. It wasn't going to happen. At the moment then, Maverick Vinales just can't find a way through on Alex Rins. He's under attack now as well. Martin's nicked the inside line going through the loop. Vinales says, no, you're not, although Martin says, I am having that place through the Aintree Corner. Brilliant race action here at the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. 5 and a bit laps to go. Pecco Bagnaia has the race lead. He's about 2/10 clear of his teammate Miller in 2nd place. The beast closes right up on the rear track. Quartararo coming into Brooklands. It looks like that'll be a case of Bastianini making it through very, very quickly.
So we're coming into the final 5 laps now. This is the crucial phase of the Grand Prix, where if you're starting to run out of tyre life, this is where it will penalise you. Quartararo is under severe pressure from Bastianini as we go into Cops. Is he going to try and force it to fit? He is. Bastianini at the inside of the world champion, who's fighting for every single point. He regains 6th position.
Yeah, Bastianini again was showing fantastic pace of 2:00, 3:28, 3/10 quicker than Fabio Quartararo. Quartararo, though, not shy in the fight, is he? Giving as good as he got there. Instant retaliation on an air Bastianini. Maverick Vinales, you do feel if he's going to have anything for the victory in this British Grand Prix, he's got to somehow find a way through on Jorge Martin very, very quickly. He was 1.1 seconds behind Bagnaia at the start of this lap number 16. There's no way through at Stowe. That for Fabio Bastianini, rather. I was just about to say, shout out to Aleix Espargaro. Yes. He has just been passed by Miguel Oliveira, but riding bravery and courage above and beyond the call of duty here. Aleix Espargaro has been absolutely sensational. He's going to be really hurting and suffering right now, isn't he? This has been a brutally difficult, from a physical and mental perspective, British Grand Prix. Nothing he can do about Oliveira sweeping on through. Aleix Espargaro, this will feel like a win if he's able to salvage a top 8 and limit the damage in terms of championship. Try and get himself fully fit. Here comes Vinales on the inside. That was a move he had to make. He had to make that move at this juncture of the race because he was running out of time to hunt down Rins, Miller and Bagnaia heading in. The move came at Village Corner. So what now has the Top Gun got in terms of a charge towards top spot here at Silverstone? Vinales 4.
Well, it's difficult to know where to look. So not only does he need to try and look at what's ahead of him, but also what's coming from behind, and that's Enea Bastianini on the number 23. Despite his asymmetrical Ducati with some winglets missing on the front of it, he managed to get past Fabio Quartararo, and there will be no response this time from the reigning world champion, who thought he'd be fighting for victory even with his long lap penalty. He's now out of the top 6.
Yeah, a bit of a humbling experience this right now for Fabio Quartararo, who was the king of Silverstone 1 year ago, untouchable when he won by over 2.5 seconds. History will not repeat itself for the reigning world champion. And Aleix Espargaro will be getting away from here, just losing 2 points if he threw the checkered flag right now compared to the world championship leader. And now Bastianini throws that right leg out. He's just trying to balance that bike, I guess, with the lack of that left top wing on that Ducati GP21. How on earth is an Air Bastianini doing this without his full aero package on that Ducati? These bikes become so unstable when you lose one of those aero add-ons. This is an amazing ride by an Air Bastianini. He's had a few already so far this year. A memorable win on the opening night in Qatar. Emotional scenes honouring the late great Fausto Grazzini. And an Air Bastianini with 3.5 laps to go here is right in the mix for his 4th Grand Prix win of 2022.
Well, it was noticeable the distance he put into Quartararo as they were going down the hanging straight. He only overtook him into Brooklands on the final lap, and Quartararo's under pressure himself from Miguel Oliveira. The last thing the reigning world champion thought he would be doing today is battling with a KTM. He's about to be overtaken by one. Look at this into Abbey. Oliveira through.
Yeah, the day's getting worse for Fabio Quartararo, although Quartararo, as you expected he would, fighting for every crucial point in this World Championship. The charge is coming then now from Maverick Vinales, having got through on Jorge Martin on the last lap. He's picked away through down the fast-fading Alex Rins, who seems to be struggling with grip late on that factory Suzuki. Vinales will be able to defend against Rins through entry corner, and Maverick Vinales on course for back-to-back podiums on the factory Aprilia, and a 4th in a row here at Silverstone. What can he do about the 2 Ducatis directly ahead of him? He's got 3 and a bit laps to go here, Vinales.
What can he do about the Ducatis behind him? Martin capitalises straight through an Alex Rins. You'd imagine an Air Bastianini will soon do exactly the same, and that will put Bastianini up into 5th place. So the 18th lap is about to begin. 3 to go. Bagnaia's lead over Miller is still 0.3 of a second. Vinales is 0.8 of a second off the lead with 3 to go.
Without that top wing for an Air Bastianini, he's going to feel like he's been deadlifting 300 kilos in the gym, isn't he? Because that bike will feel so heavy, so cumbersome. He's really giving himself an upper body workout. All the fast change of directions around Silverstone to move that bike around. No mean feat when you've got a full aero package. Brilliant job this by Bastianini. The man to keep an eye on though is Maverick Vinales, having come through in successive laps to 4th and now 3rd. He's now holding in on his great buddy Jack Miller. The gap through the 2nd sector, we'll find out very, very shortly. What is it between the Australian and the Spaniard? Oliveira got through initially on Fabio Quartararo. Quartararo fought back with a brave move around the outside at farm curve on that previous lap. Really interested to see what the gap is between Miller and Vinales in terms of time. Visually we can see it coming down as we flick back to Aleix Espargaro, salvaging what's going to be a fantastic 9th place here at the moment.
Miller's got a key role here to protect his teammate. We talked earlier whether there would be any team orders, but Miller has got to try and protect Pecco Bagnaia's lead, which at the moment is half a second back to his teammate, but Vinales is closing rapidly. If he can pass Miller immediately, a victory might not be beyond him.
You just wonder, here comes Maverick Vinales. This has been his favourite overtaking point. He got Rins on the last lap here in the village corner. There's nothing that Miller can do. I just wonder late on here whether Jack Miller is just struggling with that soft front tyre option. The 2 men now ahead of him, both Bagnaia and Vinales, have that medium compound front tyre on. They should have that better durability, the better endurance. Now then Maverick Vinales moves into 2nd place. What a ride by him after a pretty poor start from 2nd on the grid. He's going to have 2 laps to go, about 12 kilometres to find a way to close it and then pass Pecco Bagnaia to take a 2nd British Grand Prix victory. You can see how hard Miller's pushing that factory Ducati. Big wheel spin as he got on the gas coming through Luffield. The gap over the line with 2 laps to go between Bagnaia and Vinales, just over 0.6 of a second.
Key lap now for Maverick Vinales to try and bring himself within closing distance of Bagnaia on the final lap of the Grand Prix. This is lap 19 of 20, and even with the overtake on Jack Miller last time around, Vinales was still 0.2 quicker than the leader.
He can see it, he can smell it, he can almost taste it, this first victory for the factory Aprilia team. He said yesterday the dream will come true. One day in the future he will be a race winner again in MotoGP for the Newali factory. Will that dream come true? In about 5 minutes time or so, Vinales drops that right leg out as he pushes that bit Aprilia on the brakes. Here comes Bastianini. Alex Rins is fading fast. He's obviously encountered some late grip problems. Bastianini then comes up into 5th place. I think he's going to run out of time in terms of the victory. A podium not out of the question. Quartararo is having this fantastic battle with Miguel Oliveira. Oh, that was super, super close. Going through turns number 8 and 9 as Quartararo sees another point slip through his fingers. Late drama potentially beckons here at Silverstone because Maverick Vinales is starting to charge towards Pecco Bagnaia. The gap through sector 2 down to just over 1/4 of a second.
It's nothing
Here comes
now.
Vinales. Unbelievable corner speed through the farm curve, and in 3 successive laps, his main moves in the village corner. He runs in hot. He briefly took the lead here at the British Grand Prix. This is all set up for another classic. We saw an unbelievable late drama between Marc Marquez and Alex Rins at Silverstone in 2019, a hark back to the 1979 legendary race between Barry Sheene and Kenny Roberts. It's game on here between Bagnaia and Vinales into Brooklands for the penultimate time. Nothing between the top 2 men in this Grand Prix. Vinales then briefly led going into Village Corner on this lap number 19, but it looks like it'll be Pecco Bagnaia will have a narrow advantage as we start this crucial last lap here in an epic Battle of Britain.
He doesn't have to rush this, Maverick Vinales. He perhaps went for that move a little earlier than he had to into Village on the penultimate lap. He's got so much more pace. He's a little wide though into Copse. That's costing vital ground. That could just be the respite that Bagnaia needs. Vinales needs to get back into his rhythm quickly. Less than a lap to go.
How decisive could that little error, a small tiny error, could prove to be so decisive? He was just 1 inches wide off his normal line there. Vinales going into Copse corner. It's given Pecco Bagnaia that little bit of breathing space through sector 1, and it's 4/10 is the advantage that Bagnaia has over Maverick Vinales. The top 2 men in the World Championship now next to each other in this British Grand Prix. Quartararo 8th, and Aleix Espargaro in 9th, so not really any serious damage.
Again, Vinales.
He's just getting a little bit impatient here. He's been so silky smooth in this Grand Prix so far, but just when he needed that composure, he's just getting a little bit scrappy, a little bit erratic. That's the 3rd time now on this last lap that Maverick Vinales has just pushed that front tyre a little bit too hard, and he's letting this British Grand Prix win slip through his grasp here. Bagnaia comes into Abbey Corner, his lead over half a second.
Vinales was so good though through Village and Farm last time around. That was where he closed in on Bagnaia. He's nowhere near close enough this time around. Bagnaia does have those crucial few tenths in his pocket over Maverick Vinales. There is still a hope for Vinales if he can close in through the loop here. This is the left-hander who will now lead us onto the Wellington Straight. He's not out of this yet, but it's going to take a Rins-esque move in the final sector of this race if Vinales is to snatch victory.
They build up speed. They're now down the 5th gear, nearly 300 kilometres an hour. Wellington Straight. Bastian is going to take more points up the inside into Brooklands. He goes on Jorge Martin. This looks like though Bagnaia has this British Grand Prix covered. It's been an absolute classic. Alex Rins is fading. He's going to be off the podium. But it's Bagnaia, the best of British at Silverstone in 2022. He takes a famous win here in round 12 of this year's MotoGP World Championship. He takes it by 4/10 of a second. There is back-to-back podiums this year for Aprilia's Maverick Vinales, a 4th consecutive rostrum finish for him here at Silverstone. Jack Miller hangs on. He started 3rd, he finishes 3rd. Bastianini having had that first corner skirmish with Bezzecchi and Martin without one wing on that left-hand side of that Brazilian Ducati. Somehow he fights his way through to 4th, Martin 5th, Oliveira 6th, Rins faded from the lead to 7th. Top 2 men in the championship, Quartararo 8th, Aleix Espargaro, a heroic, miraculous 9th place for him. Brilliant job by him. Marco Bezzecchi completes the top 10, but this topsy-turvy run goes on then for Pecco Bagnaia. 4 wins now in the last 7 races, 3 DNFs to boot, and he's coming right back in the championship contention. We ruled him out, didn't we, Lewis, after that Sachsenring DNF, but back-to-back wins then in Assen, and now here at Silverstone in a memorable British Grand Prix. At times it was like a Moto3 battle. Bagnaia, unlike Maverick Vinales, did keep his cool, did keep calm and collected on that decisive final lap, and he holds on to take a British Grand Prix victory. It's an 8th victory of his career in MotoGP for Pecco Bagnaia. What a way to return from the summer break. Congratulations to Ducati and Pecco Bagnaia.
The 2nd closest top 10 ever in the Premier class. And I noticed this on the left-hand side of the screen as we were looking at the onboards. Aleix Espargaro even dared overtake Quartararo into Brooklands on the final lap, but the world champion was able to snatch that position back. 8th and 9th for Quartararo and Espargaro, and a victory for Pecco Bagnaia. He's very much back in the chase for the title.
Yeah, and I'm sure Simon Crayford, we know how Davide Tardozzi loves a victory celebration in MotoGP. Let's hear the post-race thoughts. Both of their factory men on the podium here. A win for Bagnaia, Miller 3rd. Simon with Davide Tardozzi.
Davide, on the grid, you told us both of your riders had the pace for the podium. You were dead right. How do you feel?
Oh, incredible. They did a fantastic race. Maverick was very, very fast in the end, but I think that Pecco managed in the best way, and Jack there too. So an incredible Sunday.
Big congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, an incredible Sunday for the factory Ducati team. Pecco Bagnaia was pretty, well, I'm not going to say pessimistic about his victory hopes yesterday, but he felt like they needed to find 2/10 per lap to get on par and fight for the win. He was absolutely superb though in that Grand Prix. You can hear the ovation that the world's best riders are getting from the British fans. Just over 41,000 here, soaking up some beautiful mid-August sunshine here at Silverstone. Jack Miller, he was right in podium contention throughout that Grand Prix, but Pecco Bagnaia, 50 points out of 50 in Assen and in Silverstone. And what happened last year, it was in the second half of the season, the latter stage of 2021, where this young man, the 25-year-old Italian, really came on song. He was the dominant force in the latter stage of last season, a repeat of that, and he's going to be a big threat to Aleix Spargo and Fabio Quartararo in this championship. It's the best ever podium streak as well for Ducati coming into this British Grand Prix. Ducati had at least one bike on the podium in the previous 17 races. That was the best one in their history. It's now 18. The Ducati team here in Great Britain, they're on their feet. The last time Ducati actually didn't have one bike on the podium was right here at the British Grand Prix 1 year ago.
And understandably cross Fabio Quartararo, who thought a victory was possible even with the long lap penalty. In truth, from the moment that he served the long lap penalty, he was never really in contention to challenge for it. As soon as he served that penalty and came back in the middle of the pack, he only went backwards.
What a ride by this man. Aleix Spargo won the toughest 20 laps of his Grand Prix career, and he salvages an epic 9th place. What a hero, what a rider, what a star for Aprilia. And he finished just one place behind Fabio Quartararo, who he did briefly pass on that last lap. Maverick Vinales comes back into parc ferme. He gave it everything. 2 or 3 crucial mistakes on that last lap, denied him the chance to fight Pecco Bagnaia for the win. Simon, you've been a close observer of that. Your thoughts on Vinales? Is a great rider, just missing out in the end.
Yeah, just how things changed for Maverick all of a sudden, because he definitely had the pace. He obviously was the fastest man. I think following close and pushing that front tyre hard, I think his front tyre alarm was going off, pressure through the roof, and he basically was making him run wide, you know, with a too high pressure. That'd be my guess. Let's look forward to his debrief.
Yeah, thanks for that, Simon. Yeah, I'd imagine there's a lot of riders in that, certainly in that pack, we're worried about front tyre temperature, front tyre pressure. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened to Fabio Quartararo. Pecco Bagnaia then, quite rightly so, gets a standing ovation from the British fans. The Ducati fans who are here this weekend, they've had great entertainment. No spoilers here, but we kicked off race day here at the British Grand Prix with a wonderful spectacle. The Moto3 race, the second closest top 10 in the Premier Class history, as Lewis mentioned, just 6.6 seconds cover the top 10. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why MotoGP is the greatest motorsport show on earth. All smiles then from Maverick Vinales, second on the grid to second in the Grand Prix. There is Pecco Bagnaia then. He's had his off-track problems in the summer break. No sense of going into that too much. Jack Miller, as always, such a fan's favourite, a superstar. Doesn't matter where we go in the world, Jack Miller adored by fans of everybody. And he comes into parc ferme after a hard-fought third place. He did really well, actually, to hang in there with that soft front tyre. Ooh, there's a face of thunder. Not half. Alex Rins, at one stage when he hit the front in the early part of that British Grand Prix, we thought, hang on a minute, this is going to be another win for Alex Rins here at Silverstone to follow up his classic Battle of Britain win over Marc Marquez in 2019, but he really faded badly. At the checkered flag, Rins was 7th, 3 seconds away from Bagnaia. This man was pure class yet again. It's his first top 6 in a Grand Prix where he hasn't won this year, and that's the consistency that Enea Bastianini needs to find in the second half of the season. I'm still baffled as to how he did that. Having had that left top wing ripped off at the very first corner, you can just see one of his mechanics there pointing it out. Now, that would have made that Ducati feel so heavy, so hard to turn, so hard to muscle around. Whatever Gresini Ducati are paying Enea Bastianini today, he would have enjoyed that one, and I'm sure that man enjoyed that race at home as well. Marc Marquez continuing his long rehab from that 4th operation on that right humerus bone. We knew that Mark would be tuning in to watch the action. Hopefully, at some point later on this season, we'll see Mark either back in testing or race action. His recovery right on course, and he would love nothing more than to be back in the heat of the battle with this man. Pecco Bagnaia, absolutely superb. There was big pressure coming from Maverick Vinales. Vinales did briefly pass him, didn't he, Lewis, at Brooklands on that penultimate corner, but this man didn't crack. He looked unflappable. So many great stories, great rides to digest in that brilliant 20-lap British Grand Prix. A thumbs up for Jorge Martin. I think he'll take that 9th to 5th.
Just 1.7 seconds off the win in the end for Jorge Martin. It will irritate him slightly, no doubt, to have been overtaken by Enea Bastianini, his rival, of course, for that factory Ducati seat next season, being overtaken just a couple of corners from home. But what a fantastic spectacle for the British crowd. Of course, Moto2 still to come, where there's no lack of British involvement in that still to come. But for Pecco Bagnaia, the 8th different winner in the last 8 visits to Silverstone. Who said you can predict anything in MotoGP? And certainly here at Silverstone, expect the unexpected. The 8th different winner in our last 8 visits, and it's of course the 4th time that he's won now. For the last 4 races, he's finished. His last 7 Grand Prix have involved 3 DNFs and now 4 victories. He moves now to within 50 points of World Championship leader Fabio Quartararo. The gap is 49 and still 8 races to go.
Here is Jack Miller, and that was a real hard-fought Grand Prix here. Started 3rd, finished 3rd. I'm sure he's happy. He's with Simon down in Parc Ferme.
Jack, in a race where so many riders had the same pace, you put it on the box. You've got to be pleased with that one.
Yeah, you know, happy with the result. I would have loved to have been in 2nd there, but Mac got me towards the end. Honestly, I just started suffering. That P front was maybe not the correct decision, but I just knew I had good turning with it. But yeah, like sort of 6 laps towards the end, it started going, and that had a knock-on effect because it was more on the right side. I just started sort of losing turning in the fast corners, and then I had to start using the rear more to try and make a turn, and it's just a knock-on effect, you know. So really happy to be able to at least stay with these boys and bring it home and put it on the box. It's a fantastic way to start the second half of the season.
Congratulations.
Cheers, Simon.
Well done, Jack Miller. He thought he had the podium here 1 year ago, but he was pipped right on the last lap by Aleix Espargaro. This time around, he does make it onto the box, as we suspected. Just running out of grip on that soft front tyre. He did decide to race that new rear aero, the Stegosaurus, which has been an interesting innovation. Gigi Dall'Igna delving back into his box of magic tricks again. Jack Miller said yesterday he couldn't rule any effect, but the Thriller Miller starred in a thrilling British Grand Prix here at Silverstone. Can't wait to hear the thoughts of our top 2 men. Maverick Vinales, who comes to fence now, 3rd in Assen, 2nd here at Silverstone, so close to his first win for the factory Aprilia team. That will come. He's in Parc Ferme with Simon.
Maverick, what a ride. The fastest man on the track there at the end. What did happen right at the end? It looked like the bike started running wide.
Well, you know, I pushed at the maximum through all the race. In the start, I could not use the rear device, so everyone went on. But, you know, I get it calm. I know I had a good rhythm. And strongly, we recovered places. I attacked Pecco on the last laps. But, you know, next time we need to build up better. We need to start on the front and push, because I think today we had an amazing rhythm. But overall, I'm really happy. Aprilia is working fantastic. We are doing on a good way, and we need to keep like this. You know, it's just a result, and we need to keep doing like that, because step by step we are getting stronger. Today I feel very strong on the track, and this is the way, so we keep going.
Fantastic, Maverick. Congratulations.
Make no mistake, Mac is back in town. Great ride. Sound like then the whole shot device didn't engage to get him off the line. That explains why he dropped back down to 6th place. He had a whole shot device problem that ruled him out of the Sachsenring in Germany. Now, this was one of the key moments in the Grand Prix. Penultimate lap into Brooklands, and Maverick Vinales led the British Grand Prix for all of what? 1.5, 2 seconds, just running hot into turn 13. We all thought we were set up for a grandstand finale. But Vinales with 2 or 3 key mistakes on that final lap. It was a brief experience then at the front of the British Grand Prix. Pecco Bagnaia just riding around the outside. You could see on his left-hand side where Vinales won. Clean on that. crystal clear that he was going to sweep back into the lead there, wasn't it, for Pecco Bagnaia? And he resisted the great late pressure. Great sportsmanship as well down in Parc Ferme. Massimo Rivola for the second time in 2 races congratulates Viñales down in Parc Ferme. But here is your race winner. Back-to-back wins, and he's certainly back in the title chase. Our race winner here in Britain, Pecco Bagnaia with Simon.
Pecco, that was not an easy weekend for you. I heard your debriefs, it was tough. You thought you had 0.2 behind the opposition. Your geometry changed on your bike, which you don't normally see, that very rare. And you came out and won. You must be proud of your team and yourself.
Yeah, wasn't easy because today, during all the weekend, we were in trouble with the rear grip. And finally for the race, the biggest step was this morning, using the hard rear. I tried the hard rear and I found a better feeling, but I was still missing something that we found it for the race. I have to say thanks to my team that have done an incredible job today. I put this win in my best one. I think this is the best win I ever had because wasn't easy. Never is easy, but today we were suffering more. And I want to say thanks also to my trainer, Carlo, to Vale, and to Casey, because we have written messages in these days. Vale is the one that have helped me more in terms of support, so thank you all, and it's incredible. I'm very happy.
Huge congratulations.
What a fantastic job then by the factory Ducati team and their star rider, Pecco Bagnaia. This is the sweet sensation of victory at sunny Silverstone for the factory Ducati man. That moves him on to 8 wins. He's now outright Ducati's 3rd most successful rider in Premier Class history. He was tied with Loris Capirossi going into this Grand Prix. Now only Casey Stoner and Andrea Dovizioso won more Premier Class races than Pecco Bagnaia, and you knew there would be some pretty ecstatic celebrations from Davide Tardozzi. We know now our editors back in Barcelona are going to be clipping together all of the famous Tardozzi celebrations. He's the one man who you'd like to be at a party with, isn't he, Tardozzi, because he can get the ball rolling when it comes to celebrations. Great job for Ducati.
Well, how many more of those scenes are we going to see? We still have 8 races to go in the 2022 season, and many of the races still to come are races that were won last year by Pecco Bagnaia. He won at Misano, of course. He won at Aragon in dramatic circumstances up against Marc Marquez. He also won the final round in Valencia. He will fully believe now, especially given what happened to Fabio Quartararo today at a circuit that we expected to be right down his street. Quartararo finishing down in 8th place. Bagnaia pulls back 17 points in one fell swoop on the reigning world champion, and as mentioned earlier on, he now trails him by just 49. Ducati Lenovo team also now moved just within 2 points of Aprilia Racing in the battle for the team's championship as well. It really is hotting up as we head into the summer months, and the MotoGP title battle is coming to the boy.
It was a fantastic Friday here at Silverstone, a super Saturday, and we've already had a sensational Sunday here at the British Grand Prix. We always get classic and tight MotoGP battles here. That's the 5th time in 11 races at Silverstone. The race been won by less than a second.
I was suffering a lot there.
Turn 12 is after the
Second corner of the Formula 1.
Yeah, I go fast there.
I was losing the
But this is
front
the P, I think. I was with the P.
Also give me over 2.
Yeah. Well, there, even like when I passed Rins there.
But the Rins, what happened to Rins then?
I think he destroyed the tire.
Because he was pushing a
He
lot.
was pushing a lot in the beginning. When Johan crashed, I didn't want to go. I said, fuck it. I don't want to push the pace because I don't know.
I pushed it because I was thinking that in the last part of the race I was fucking with the rear tire, so just try to beat.
But Johan didn't look too bad, but
no,
windy down the back straight.
Yes.
All 3 of us on the last lap, we go out. All 3, we go wide on the turn 6.
Turn 7.
7.
Turn 7.
After the back straight.
With the bumps that there are there. I was feeling good to move. But K front helped me.
Yeah.
For the braking.
Yeah, left side of mine was good the whole race, but just even like in the last lap, in the second, this after this last straight, I was able to like rolling much faster than you guys there, but on right, no more. The peak was done.
You turn 3 were braking more. I was recovering all the gap in turn 3.
To change the next one. Yeah. Johan, man, on the first lap nearly go. I was sure he go on Like you yesterday, I thought because the wind, I think on the first lap it was like one big gust of wind right as we was exiting, and he got shifted quite a lot.
I was not knowing which gear I was in turn one. In turn one, and at the start I was in second gear, no? I was thinking to be in third, I ordered the up.
You start with the knee down? Yeah. I went opposite.
But turn one was down still.
Yeah, turn one it didn't. Also, my front didn't unlock.
My one, yes, but the rear no.
I didn't brake hard enough.
So our top three men here at Silverstone, Pecco Bagnaia, Maverick Vinales and Jack Miller delivered a super show here at Silverstone. Great as always to get the unique insight of our podium men behind the scenes. That's why myself and Lewis just kept stum for a few moments. Apologies for some of the language used there, but of course these guys are full of adrenaline after that high-octane challenge here at the British Grand Prix. But these podium celebrations get underway.
So here we go then. This is not a circuit necessarily on paper that we thought would be a Ducati track. But Ducati, with that historic 18th consecutive Grand Prix with at least one rider on the podium, have managed to get both factory riders onto the podium. Jack Miller, we heard him describing what he thought of Alex Rins' race. What a story to this Grand Prix. It started with Johan Zarco, of course, chasing a maiden Grand Prix victory under pressure from Fabio Quartararo, who then served his long lap penalty. It then looked as if Alex Rins was going to take control and check out at the front. Maverick Vinales, who steps onto the second place spot on the podium, also looked as if it was going to be his day at one stage in the closing stages. But in the end, through all the pressure, through all the drama and the thrilling action of 20 laps of Silverstone, it is Pecco Bagnaia who emerges victorious. His fourth victory in 7 races. And you heard it from the horse's mouth down in Parc Fermé with Simon Crafart. He puts this at the very top, the best win of his MotoGP career. Mitch Covington, the monster SVP of Global Sports Marketing, gives Ducati the Constructors' Prize. 7th victory of the season for Ducati, 4 for Bagnaia and 3, of course, for Enea Bastianini, who was superb today in just missing out on the podium. In the end, he finished just 1 second adrift of Jack Miller, who receives the 3rd place prize from the managing director here at Silverstone, Stuart Pringle. First podium for Jack Miller since he was on the podium at Le Mans earlier in the season. It was his 3rd front row start of 2022 here, and much like the previous 2, he converted it into a podium. Jan Stovacek, board member for the FIM, hands a 2nd consecutive podium trophy to Maverick Vinales. How he thought maybe with a lap and a half to go that he would have been standing just a few feet to his left when he emerged onto the podium. And the Silverstone chairman, John Grant, gives Pecco Bagnaia the sweetest trophy of his Grand Prix career. Do not write Bagnaia off. He is firmly in World Championship contention as Bagnaia triumphs at the British Grand Prix.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem of Italy.
Bagnaia bags the victory at the British Grand Prix in 2022. A race that will be one of the most memorable of this season, without any question. And it could be pivotal in the final reckoning of this championship, as Lewis mentioned, because Pecco Bagnaia, having been so distraught and deflated after that tumble out of Germany just before the summer break, most people have written him off as a genuine title contender this year. But it just shows how quickly the balance of power can shift in MotoGP, because Pecco Bagnaia now just 49 points away from Fabio Quartararo, with 8 races still remaining and tracks that he and the Ducati do love. Cheers, boys, is what Jack Miller said. That was a hard-fought podium finish for all those three guys. You heard them say it looked like Alex Rins pushed too hard early on and burned up his Michelin tyres. There you go then. Well, that's what it means when you've taken a victory at one of MotoGP's most historic venues. Assen and Silverstone back-to-back on the calendar. You won't get more two venues steeped in heritage and history. You always hear riders say that they always want to tick that box, get a win at Assen or Silverstone on the record books, and that's exactly what Pecco Bagnaia has done. Back-to-back wins in his MotoGP career for the third time, and it is very much game on in terms of the championship. Just whets the appetite, doesn't it, for us to move to Austria in 2 weeks' time.